When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
In Fairfield County, something new comes across my desk every day. Crimes are committed, cases are solved, and a community is made safe by the hardworking employees of the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office.
Welcome to This Week with Sheriff Dave Phelan, a weekly program here on LSN Television. We're also carried by a number of the radio affiliates here in Lancaster and beyond. Do appreciate you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. We've got a great guest for the next couple weeks, Sergeant Jason Hodder. Glad to have you here, Sarge.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. And you are currently assigned as the First Trick Jail Sergeant, right?
Yes, sir.
So what are some of the things that go on during the First Trick in the jail?
First shift jail, we are responsible for taking all the inmates across the street to common pleas court for their court appearances, arraignments, revocations, motions to revoke, stuff like that. We bring prisoners back from the state prison system for judicial release hearings, sometimes for probable cause hearings if they have additional criminal charges. We handle transports between our facility, all of our jail facilities, and other county facilities as well. We also handle all municipal court arraignments through video system. And then we have the regular jail duties like passing food to the inmates, collecting the trays, medication pass, anything else that may crop up like a medical emergency.
Wow, so lots of things going on during the first shift.
It goes very fast, yes, sir.
And then you've been on since 2002.
That's when I started here at the office, yes, sir.
And before you were with the sheriff's officers, what are some of the things you were involved in? Local, you're a high school guy here, or where did you go?
Yeah, I went to Lancaster High School. We moved here in 1990 from Carson City, Nevada, when I was a little boy after my parents got divorced. And we've lived in Lancaster ever since. Okay. Great city? Yeah, I like Lancaster.
Yeah.
I like Fairfield County.
Yeah, it's a great place. Now, some of the things you've been involved in the past, I know you're one of our training officers.
Yes, sir.
So how important is training, and especially today in today's environment where we see police shootings and these kind of things?
Training is very important. It gives you the foundation for what you would do out on the street or in the jail division if something were to happen. We always say when we go to training that you train just like you would act out on the street or in the jail when you're dealing with the inmates. Training builds repetition, builds muscle memory. It helps get the officers better prepared to respond. That way they don't have to worry about locking up or freezing if they were faced with a critical incident.
So what are some of the different trainings that we've done in the past in the Sheriff's Office?
Well, we do our yearly qualifications with our firearms.
Okay.
The range officers take us out for those. We do yearly recertification with our taser units. We do yearly Narcan and OC update, the pepper spray updates. Mm-hmm. We do a little bit of subject control updates. We go over our force policies. We go over the basic jail policies. I know that in the jail division, our administrator, Lieutenant Churchill, and the jail sergeants are good about testing our staff about every month on our policies and on our standard operating procedures. That way everything stays fresh in the mind to try to help keep everybody up to date and on the same page.
You know, recently we had, certainly everyone's aware of the tragedies we've had in Dallas, and you know, that was a ambush type of killings, and it would be very difficult. No amount of training probably could have changed the outcome of that. But some of the things that I have thought about is how important it would have been, how important it is for our citizens to come forward if they have information. And so when we look at training, and another incident just came to mind is that we had a bailiff that was disarmed by a suspect, and then the bailiff killed, I think, two people, and he was killed. So whenever the deputies are doing these transports, what's kind of the procedure to kind of ensure something like that would not happen?
Well, we talked about the Michigan incident this morning at roll call.
Good.
I talked about it with my crew.
Okay.
A deputy was disarmed yesterday, July 10th, or July 11th, I'm sorry, up in Michigan, and when the inmate got the gun, he shot and killed 2 bailiffs before he himself was shot by local police. When we talked about it at roll call this morning, I reminded my crew that it's very important that the inmates are searched before you take them out of the building, per policy. They're handcuffed, they're shackled, they walk in front of you, not beside you, certainly not on the side where your primary service weapon would be. Keep them in front of you, keep an eye on them, nobody touches them, nobody interacts with them other than you and court personnel, for their safety, but also for the safety of the inmates, because you never know what could happen, and for the safety of the general public.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the greatest danger in law enforcement is complacency.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, you think about, especially many times, not only in the jail but on the road, where deputies are stopping traffic violators. And they do this year in and year out. Nothing happens, and things remain calm. And so they get a little lax as they walk up to that car, and then all of a sudden you stop someone just involved in a robbery or homicide or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that can happen. You got to always be thinking ahead. One of the things I had been taught in the past by old supervisors here at the office is always hope for the best, but always plan for the worst. Always be watching and be mindful of what's going on. Protect yourself, protect your other units that might be out with you, but protect anybody else that might be nearby. Be planning ahead, hope for the best, plan for the worst.
I know that within the last year that you'd written a letter, the deputy of the year, Deputy Seipel, you
Yes,
were
sir.
the one that put in for that. And one of the things that you put in the letter, and I thought it was interesting, you said a deputy in the jail division is one of the most unglorified and unrecognized positions within the sheriff's office, but it is a position of one of the utmost importance, as the responsibility of the inmate's safety and well-being are in the hands of the deputies assigned to the jail. Let's talk a little bit about that. I know it's a very tough job to be a deputy in the jail dealing with these prisoners.
It's difficult day in and day out, sir.
And then what are some of the concerns anytime you're dealing with these prisoners? What are some of the things you've seen as far as within the jail, as far as some of the prisoners that have brought contraband into the jail or been disruptive?
We've had people try to convey drugs into our facility before. Our staff's really good about interdicting that. We filed many successful felony conveyance charges and sent people to prison for that. It is a felony to try to bring anything undeclared into the jail. At all the facilities, as soon as you walk in, we have very large red signs that were made up several years ago that are posted with the ORC. The staff's really good too about looking at people coming in and saying, if you have anything on you, you need to declare. If you tell us about it, you might get charged. It won't be as bad as if you don't tell us and we find it, and then you get the conveyance. Some people are smart about it and they'll be honest. Some people try to gamble and they tend to lose. We got to watch with the inmates too. We protect them from each other but also from themselves. We've had inmates that we put on close watches to make sure they're safe from themselves so they don't hurt themselves. We watch inmates and we classify them based off the degree of charge, be it a violent felony, violent misdemeanor, non-violent felony, not violent misdemeanor. We try to keep them separated as much as we're able to in the current facilities for their safety so they don't victimize each other as well.
So we're moving into a new jail
Yes, sir.
in probably less than a year. How's that going to change operationally how we operate? And I know you've been there before at the new facility as they build that.
Yeah, I've walked through it a few times. I think it's really neat. I
Yeah.
like walking through. When it was just a slab, it was hard to visualize, and I've walked through with our jail lieutenant a few times, and he's able to see it in his mind. It's kind of fun watching him talk about, don't walk there, there's a wall there, even
Yeah.
though there's not a wall. But as you walk through it now, because they've got more walls up, I've been through it with the chief a few times too, it's easy to see how things are going to lay out. Now, I've taken jail staff and a couple of other supervisors through it when they've asked if I'd go through it with them, and I'd show them where the things are that the lieutenant and the chief have shown me, and we talk about how things are. And we're going to be probably sitting down. I believe the lieutenant's plan is to try to go through and update policies for the new facility, the standard operating procedures, so we can hit the ground running when that opens. It'll be very nice, though. We'll have more space to house inmates. We'll be able to segregate them better.
And for the viewers or listeners who may not know, right now we actually house prisoners in 3 separate facilities in Fairfield County, so this will reduce that to 1.
Yes, sir.
And, I've been impressed, and I know you've been there, as far as the way the new jails are designed. It's not even going to look like a jail.
Oh, from the outside, it's going to look like,
Like an office building.
yeah, pretty much.
And I know there was some concerns early on by some of the residents about safety, about the able to maintain the prisoners in a safe environment where there would be it would be unlikely that they could escape. And it just seems to me, the way they're building that building, that it would be very difficult for anyone to ever get out of there.
It looks like it would be difficult to me. I mean, nothing is ever, I'm sure, 100% possible, but the way the building's designed, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be very difficult for anybody to cause any problems to get out. I think the building's going to improve the appearance of downtown. I think the building is going to drastically improve safety for the inmates and the staff. I think it's going to improve for the neighborhood as well.
And so that's going to be coming up within the year. So you've been with the sheriff's office a number of years. Is there any incident or something that comes to mind that kind of sticks in your mind that you came across, or some event that really has happened? Whether a disruptive prisoner, or I know a number of years ago, I don't know if you were there, they actually had some prisoners that wouldn't come out of the cells, and then I know you've been on the road before. Is there anything that comes to mind that just kind of sticks in your mind? I know that's a tough question because I know there's a lot of things that have happened.
I've worked the patrol and the jail division, both as deputies and supervisors, and I've been on all sorts of different crimes, from the tragic to the mundane. Things that really stick out in my mind: when I was a patrol deputy and I was first out, I went to day shift for a couple months to substitute for a deputy who was out on maternity leave. And we had a gentleman who was trying to go from field to field in his tractor, and it flipped on him when he was crossing in a creek. And it pinned him underneath, yeah. I remember that. I remember getting out there, and we were in the creek for about an hour trying to shore it up, keep it from crushing him, while the fire department was there cutting the bars to control knobs. If I remember correctly, they went through the guy's leg and pinned him underneath. We were able to get him out without him dying, without him facing serious injury.
Right.
And that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
I sat back afterwards, and I was like, that was really cool.
So it had a good outcome.
Yeah, it did. Good
outcome. So, as you move forward with the sheriff's office, I know you're number one on the lieutenant's list, and I know you're looking forward to that. And that's exciting.
Yeah, it'd be a nice opportunity, a nice challenge.
And so where do you see the sheriff's office in maybe the next 10 years?
In our new facility, still serving the people of Fairfield County, doing everything we can to keep everybody safe and make sure that our county is one of the best ones in the state.
That's a good ending there. Appreciate this. Has been Jason Hodder, Sergeant with the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office, and in a year or so you're probably going to be a lieutenant, so that's exciting too as you move up in rank and responsibilities. Well, the clock on the wall says we're just about out of time. Before we sign off, I want to thank our executive producer, Kelly Roberts, behind the scenes. She lines the guests up and gets many of the questions together ahead of time. Certainly the Fairfield Christian Academy. This program is videoed right here at the Academy. J.T. Burcham heads up their audiovisual group, does a terrific job behind the scenes. And if it wasn't for their help, we wouldn't have a program like this. And each week we get a lot of nice calls from you, the citizens. We do appreciate that. And if we can ever be any of assistance, our number is 740. My personal number is 652-7252. Don't hesitate to call, or look us up on our Facebook account or our website. Until next week, same time, same place, we'll see you right here. If you're driving, buckle up. God bless.
In 1929 in Chicago, a gentleman by the name of Marion Wade, a former minor league baseball player, started the company. It was just a moth-proofing company then. In 1952, it expanded to carpet cleaning and pioneered what is now called outsourcing. And the Sidwells wanted a community that had a lot of churches, had a lot of soccer opportunities where kids love soccer, and a good Parks and Rec department, so they chose Lancaster. And so in 1980, they moved the franchise here in Lancaster, to 6th Avenue. But then in 2002, Todd George, current owner, purchased the franchise from them. And in 2004, he bought a building that's on Mulberry Street, and that's where the franchise is located currently. I'm Jay Johnson, General Manager of Service Master Clean by Todd George, where we guarantee if it's not done right the first time, we'll do it again.
Service Master Clean by Todd George, 740-687-1077, 740-687-1077.